Hey guys, and welcome into another episode of the 32 Team Mock Draft Series. Today we're going to be heading on over to the end of the first round, the very last pick for the Super Bowl champion, Kansas City Chiefs. This was requested by Robertson in the comment section below. Of course, if you guys do want to see your team before we go just in regular order, let me know in the comment section below, and I will try my best to figure out when and where I can do that as soon as possible. If you are part of the 95% of viewers who are watching these videos without subscribing, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We're growing the channel pretty fast. There's going to be a lot of NFL content coming out, especially this month heading up to the draft. We're going to start doing a lot more Madden content as well, so you're going to want to stick around for that. And of course, leave a like on the video if you do enjoy. But we're going to get right into it with the first pick of the draft for the Chiefs at the end of the first round at pick 32. And at pick 32, I have been selecting cornerback Jaylen Johnson out of the University of Utah. Thing that jumps right out to you about Jaylen Johnson is he plays very physical. 6 foot, 193, a little bit of a slender build compared to other corners at his height, but definitely not a problematic type. When it comes to his build, he runs a 4.5. He has a 36.5-inch vertical. He played there for 3 years. He had 102 tackles, 7 interceptions, 2 touchdowns on those interceptions, and 21 pass deflections. Now, like I kind of touched on at the very beginning of this part, he is physically gifted. There's just things that he can do that a lot of other corners can't. A part of that is accustomed to him being at 6 foot. It does help him out a little bit, just getting an edge on some receivers. His press is basically second to none as well as a prospect. He has a new approach to his press pretty much every time he goes to do it. So receivers are going to be guessing a lot. They're not going to know where to go. They're going to get caught up a lot as well. He's very efficient with it as well. It just kind of comes along with that press technique. So his technique is very flawless when it comes to him pressing. He's got a very high IQ when it comes to passing off receivers and sticking with zones. So when the receiver's coming across your zone, obviously you stick with them. When he knows when to let the receiver go, knows when they're still going to be covered, when to stay with them. He has a good IQ when it comes to that. He's very aware when it comes to stuff like that. He's able to play man and zone very well. There's not really one he leans more to. I'd say probably man coverage, but he plays them both very well for a prospect. And on jump balls, he's able to beat them. He's able to do pass deflection. 21 pass deflections in his career on the 7 picks. He's definitely able to get the best of receivers when it comes to a deep ball. Some weaknesses I see in his game, though, as we see there. There's every prospect has some weaknesses. He overreacts on some routes. Sometimes he really wants to make that play, and he ends up getting beat, and they get a nice gain, or even worse, they could end up getting a score. He can learn to do zone a little bit more because of some cover 3 issues I see him have. When he's doing those, like in Madden, they call them deep blues. When he's supposed to be doing those, sometimes he'll get caught up. He won't be in the right situation that he should be in, and it could end up getting yardage for the other team. But other than that, Jaylen Johnson is pretty much a first-round grade for me, late first-round grade, early second. I think that he could definitely sneak his way into the first round with a team like the Chiefs, who lost pretty much their only solid corner, in my opinion, in Kendall Fuller. The team has just been rallying so well to get to that Super Bowl. The offense played so well. But corner is definitely a need. There's about maybe 4 players in the secondary, maybe 5 in the whole secondary, including safeties, that I think should have any PT on the field. That's not meaning that they should be starters. That's just meaning that they have a right to play, and that's not good for a team. You're going to need more than 5 people in your secondary at all times. So Jaylen Johnson at pick 32 is a very solid pickup for the Super Bowl champions. Then we move on over to pick 63. I'm selecting running back Clyde Edwards-Helaire out of Louisiana State University. From one champion to another, Edwards-Helaire is going to be ending up there. 5'7", 207 pounds, 4.6 at the combine at the 40, but he's got a 39.5-inch vertical. That 4.6 might scare you, but I'll explain a little bit later why that's not something to worry about. He had 370 carries at LSU for 2,103 yards. He averaged about 5.7 per carry and had 23 total touchdowns on the ground. 69 catches as well he added with 595 yards, 8.6 yards per catch, and about just 1 touchdown in the air. Some strengths of his game, he kind of plays like a Devontae Freeman. He's a smaller type, yet he doesn't feel like a smaller type all the time. He's able to get through defenders pretty well. He plays very low to the ground, so he's able to run through a tackler if need be. And speaking of making tacklers miss, he is able to do it in pretty much any way possible. He's able to do jump cuts, spins, jukes, everything. He has all of that in his arsenal, which is very good for a running back, especially in a type of offense like Andy Reid likes to run for the Kansas City Chiefs. 36% of his carries were either a first down or a touchdown in 2019, which is an absolutely insane number. That just shows how efficient he can be on the ground. When you look also at some other things, he falls forward almost every time. So that extra yard or two is always something you want in your running back. You want them to fight for the extra yards and be able to hold on to the ball as well. And out of the backfield, he's able to run crisp routes. Obviously, the running back route tree isn't the most what's the right word for it? Most dynamic, I guess. It's pretty much similar routes, but he's able to do it at a high level. He's able to cut well, especially for being a running back. And he was also a returner for 3 years. He wasn't always the returner, but he was a returner for 3 years, which definitely helps him out because he can be a weapon on the special teams unit as well. Some weaknesses in his game: speed isn't enough for a long distance. That 4.6, it's a long distance run. I mean, it's 40 yards. He's not going to be a long distance runner. He's not going to. The reason that Derrick Henry 99-yard touchdown play or 98-yard touchdown play was so insane is because nobody expected Derrick Henry to be able to run that far and still make it there without getting tackled. He broke all those tackles. It was insane. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he's going to be kind of that similar back. You're not going to expect him to be able to break off of a 50 or 60-yard run for a touchdown. Those big plays are not really going to happen for him. He's definitely going to be getting you those 20 yards, 30 yards at max probably on the ground before getting caught up by other defenders. But he's still able to get in there. I think he's a little small for doing interior rushes like dive plays, trap plays. I think that he's definitely going to want to keep it outside of the guards, and that's where he's going to shine the most. He can run it. It's just not his most efficient rushes. And on top of that, he's not really the best for the goal line. That comes with not being able to do interior rushes. You're not going to really want him to be the back on the goal line to try and push through. Luckily, there's a good enough amount of running backs in Kansas City to be able to do that. But getting a guy like Edwards-helaire, he will be the starter, if not year one, by the end of year one. And the other thing, his arms are a little bit shorter. So when it comes to catching, you're going to have to kind of get it on the dot. He's not going to be able to reach out too far for the catches. But other than that, he is very productive at LSU. He had a very solid last season. His playoffs he had a great playoff run for the Tigers as well. And I think he's going to be able to slate in as that starting running back role, if not at the beginning of the season, like I said, by the end of year one. Then we're going over to pick number 96. I've been selecting another cornerback, Amik Robertson, out of Louisiana Tech. Now, this is more of a best available position for positions of need. I think that defense is really where you got to shine here. We all know how good the offense is. It's possible they could look for maybe a guard or so, but I think that getting a cornerback like Amik Robertson, you're getting two starting caliber corners right away to fill the hole that Kendall Fuller left when already the corner market was not too hot for the Chiefs. Amik Robertson has had a insane career at Louisiana Tech, so let me tell you about it. He is 5'8", 187, so definitely a smaller corner. He was a 3-year starter, though. He made 184 tackles in those 3 years. 23 of them were tackles for loss, 4 sacks. He had 14 interceptions, 3 touchdowns, and 34 pass deflections. Just an absolute production machine at Louisiana Tech. That's why I have him getting that towards the end of the third round. Some strength in his game. He plays a lot taller than 5'8", 187. He's able to go up against big receivers, and he's not afraid to play against big receivers. His ball production is absolutely insane. 14 interceptions, 34 pass deflections. I mean, this guy, when you look at the stats, is an absolute monster. He's able to press very hard. He's very, for being 5'8", 187, he plays more of a physical physical corner. I mean, he's not very much finesse. He's very much get in your face, make the hit, make the press. He's very much a physical corner. He reads the route tree very well. He's able to understand what the route is going to be able to jump on it, at least make the tackle, if anything. So he's definitely good at that. He is a hard-hitting corner. Like I said, the physical traits are good. He's very good in run support. He is able to hit hard, and he crowds the receivers as well. So if a receiver somehow gets the catch, they're not going far. They're not going to get too much yak. They're going to be pretty much brought down right away. But he is most likely going to get his hand on it, get one of those pass deflections or interceptions that he has been known to get at Louisiana Tech. Some weaknesses is that he is short for an outside corner, but that's still where you have to play him. So it's a little bit awkward. He is 5'8", but he's still a guy that you have to play on the outside because of those physical traits. I don't see him slotting in as a nickel at the NFL level. I think it could still work. I mean, he like I said, he plays bigger. I think he's able to do it. When you look at other things that he needs to work on as well, the talent across from him was lackluster. He didn't really face up against too many NFL caliber receivers in college, so obviously that's going to be an issue because he's not used to going up against with the first game they have to match up against like maybe Keenan Allen or Mike Williams, he's going to struggle because that's going to be the first time he's versed. I mean, even in practice, going against Sammy Watkins, even DeMarcus Robinson, all these guys are going to be a lot better than what he's faced in college. So that's definitely something he's going to have to learn for. He, like I said, he's physical more than finesse, so he could work on some more fundamentals more than the physical traits. And because of his physicality, that could end up causing him injuries at the NFL level because he goes for those hard hits, because he's able to tackle a lot. He might end up hurting himself, which is going to be unfortunate. So keeping himself healthy is going to be a key in the NFL. But this guy, along with Jaylen Johnson, would be an absolute tandem to get out of this draft. You have two corners who I think will actually be very good starters at the NFL level. Amik Robertson, he might need a little bit more time to be a viable like full-time starter, but I still think that he is able to be started right away, if not playing almost every play as a third corner, maybe a fourth, whatever it is. I think Amik Robertson is an absolute monster. You fix that secondary issue with these two picks, and I think you can run away with them. At pick 138, I have him selecting linebacker Sean Bradley out of Temple. Now, Sean Bradley is he's an interesting interior linebacker, and that's really what a position of need is at the Kansas City Chiefs defense, interior defensive linebacker. You could take a guy earlier, but I think Sean Bradley would be the only pick in the third round, so I'd rather get an Amik Robertson there and be able to still get Bradley in the next round, and luckily it panned out that way for them. He's 6'1", 235. He ran a 4.51, so the speed is definitely there, which is a big thing for linebackers nowadays. He was a 3-year player for 251 tackles, 22 of them were tackles for loss. He had 3 interceptions, 2 sacks, 5 pass deflections, and 3 forced fumbles. Some strength he has is he's very good at shooting the gap. He's able to just use that speed to burst right in there and blow up the hole. Decent in coverage. He's not the best in coverage, but he's able to be, if he is in coverage or you have to throw him in a zone or whatever, you're not going to be completely petrified. You might be a little bit worried. He might get targeted, but you won't have to be completely petrified about it. He was used as a running back in some occasions at Temple, which just kind of shows versatility. He does have the power and the ball handling skills to do it. It wasn't too often, but he was used there. It's something to make note of. And 65% of his tackles were solo tackles, so he's able to get a hand on somebody and actually bring them down. He doesn't always have to get a combined tackle from anyone else, so that is a very big thing for him. His weaknesses is he does have a small frame, 6'1", 235. It's not really the biggest linebacker build that you see in today's day and age, but it definitely can work. We've seen a lot of safeties transfer over to linebacker, and it works very well. So the frame is something to worry about, but it's not the worst. He needs to work on his IQ. He has a lot of trouble recognizing plays, using instincts to figure out where he should be, where he should go, and that's really his biggest problem. That's why he's at 138. I think that once he figures out, he's able to learn the game, and I think you're going into one of the best coaching trees in the NFL right now with Andy Reid to go and learn, do what you can behind that team who, there's a lot of leaders. Tyrann Mathieu there. Have him take you under your wing. I mean, as a linebacker, you need to learn the safety types. So Mathieu would be a great mentor for him. You just need to be able to know, hey, where should I be? How am I going to teach myself to make it a natural instinct of mine to shoot this gap, know when not to shoot this gap, to be able to do this? He just has to work on the IQ portion of his game, and then he'll be a very solid linebacker. I see him being a starter maybe in year 2. He could work towards it, but you definitely could use him on special teams right away. He could learn. I mean, with how lackluster the linebacker position is in Kansas City, you could use him right away. You'd have to see how he plays, but obviously the linebacker position has been kind of a hole on the defense as well for the Chiefs, but that offense is so insane that it doesn't really matter who gets put on defense, so you could probably stick him in day one and not even notice that anything's wrong. But Sean Bradley at 138 would be a great pick for the Chiefs. Now at pick 177, and actually the last pick that the Kansas City Chiefs have, I am selecting tight end Stephen Sullivan out of LSU. Sullivan is probably the weirdest prospect I've had to look at and grade this year, which is it's saying a lot because he's from LSU. When you see an LSU prospect, you're going to kind of want to draft him just as a natural instinct because that's a great team. They just went undefeated, But you're probably looking and being like, wasn't Thaddeus Moss the tight end at LSU? Yeah, pretty much. That's what I'm going to talk to you about. So Sullivan, 6'5", 248. He has 35 and 3/8 inch arms, so those things are long. He ran a 4.66 at the combine. He had 36.5 inch vertical. In his whole college career for 3 years, he was there for 4 years. He didn't make any production in his first year, but he played the next 3 years. He had 46 catches for 712 yards, 15.5 yards per catch, and 3 touchdowns. So some strength in his game is that he was a top 10 receiver prospect coming out of high school, kind of transitioned to a tight end role just because he has kind of an awkward build to where his base is more or less a tight end base, but yet his upper body is very much built like a receiver, as you can even see in that picture there. He has a very high character, team first mentality. When you hear his production, 46 receptions, he wasn't caring about, okay, how am I going to get the ball? How am I going to up my draft stock? No, he was worried about how are we going to win as a team? How are we going to do this? And that helped out a lot as they were able to win a national championship. So he's from the locker room. A lot of people like him. He's got a good character. That's very good for a team to have. He's very solid catching. His hands are not bricks. They can withstand a pass. Joe Burrow was the guy throwing the ball to him for the past 2 years, so it definitely is a quarterback you want to be throwing the ball to you as well. He has potential as well. I mean, you can use him as a tight end or a receiver. I have him as a tight end because that is what he played at LSU. But when you look at what Kelce has done for the Chiefs, he kind of has this mindset of being a receiver. Obviously, he's great at blocking as well. I mean, Kelce's probably the best tight end we have in the league right now. It's arguable, but he's definitely one of the better tight ends that we have in the league, top 3, if anything, not anything less, definitely. So when you look at the production that Kelce's had, especially in the receiving game, I think a guy like Steven Sullivan can go in and complement from sitting behind him as well. You have Ricky Seals-Jones on a 1-year deal. I don't really think that he will get a second contract. He's kind of been getting bounced around a lot in the past few years. So I think a guy like Sullivan, you draft him, you'll be able to use him for a couple years. He doesn't have to play right away. You have Seals-Jones for that 1 year. I think next year he could slot in as a second tight end on the roster. Some weaknesses is that he doesn't really have any power on his blocks, and that's really what kind of held him back from starting for LSU. His blocking is lackluster. So learning on how to block and how to use strength and finesse and just the whole base around it, he could definitely use a rerun in the Academy of Blocking from the Kansas City Chiefs. I think that would help him out a lot. He plays a lot slower than his speed is. He ran a 4.66. He doesn't show that in the tape, which sucks. I mean, when he's out there, he doesn't seem like he runs like a tight end, and that's what kind of puts him at the position. Is that if he ran his 4.66 speed on the outside, he would play like a big play receiver. That's really what he would play as. But as a tight end, I mean, he needs to be able to play with his speed because he'd be a weapon with his speed at the tight end position. He gets caught in route traffic. That basically what that means is that if there is some people in the middle where his route's supposed to be, instead of kind of being able to adjust his route and get around it and still run the route, he kind of just gets caught up and taken out of the play, which is a big worrisome issue. And obviously the lack of production. He only started 9 games in his career at LSU, and he was there for 4 seasons. So that's definitely a weakness. But, his production, his potential, I think it's able to be taken from a team, especially like the Chiefs, where I think a lot of the tight ends are pretty much gone at this point in the draft, because this is round 5, I believe. So to be able to get a guy like Steven Sullivan here would be very helpful for the Chiefs. Like I said, slate him in as a tight end 3 on the first year. Once Ricky Seals-Jones' contract up, you could probably move him up to 2, and I think he could definitely learn a lot and be an actual better tight end than we all think from what we saw at LSU. But without further ado, that is going to be it for the Kansas City mock draft. Again, thank you to everybody that comments down below which their teams are. It really helps me out create these videos and let me know what everybody wants. If you are part of the 95% of viewers that are not subscribed but are watching these videos, of course, please hit the subscribe button. Again, thank you to Robertson for requesting this specific video as well. And if you did like the video, please leave a like. If you didn't, just refresh the page, try it again, let me know how you did the second time. And without further ado, that would be it for me. I'll see you guys in the next video.